going on, guys? This is Brian here from Simple Man's Comics in collaboration with Comic Book Speculation and Investing. Back here again today to talk to you guys about comic books that you can pre-order right now that are going to be releasing in January of 2017. Like I've said in my previous videos, by getting these pre-orders in, you can save 30 to 50% off the cover price. Pre-orders typically cut off around the 28th of the month, but there are some sites that may allow you to extend a day or two past it, but it's not promised. The comics I'm going to talk about in this video are going to be from November's preview magazine, which is what I have pictured up on the screen right now. And again, this is just my opinion on what I think is worth picking up. I know there's a lot of other great titles in this previews magazine, but I wanted to highlight my favorites. As always, this video is going to be divided up by publisher, but beyond that, there's no priority to how the comics are going to be presented. Having said that, let's go ahead and get this started. First up, we got a brand new series from Boom, WWE number 1. This comic is going to ship with 7 different covers. There's a regular cover, there's an action figure variant, there's a blank variant, there's a Royal Rumble connecting variant, there's a 25 copy incentive variant, a 50 copy incentive variant, and a 100 copy incentive variant. 100 copy incentive is pretty cool. It's got an awesome cover of Macho Man Randy Savage on it, but the price is pretty steep, so make sure you check that out when you guys are doing your pre-orders. Here we have Slayer Relentless number 1. Now this comic ties directly into Slayer's latest album called Relentless, and even more so it ties into the videos from that album. This also has a B cover which is done by Eric Powell, so be on the lookout for that as well. Next we have All-Star Batman number 6. Scott Snyder's been doing a great job on this comic. This comic's going to ship with 3 different covers. There's the regular cover, there is a jock variant, then there's also something different on this one. It's got a Francisco Francavilla variant. Normally the other variant's been on this has been by Declan Shalvey, but this one's by Francavilla, and I'd be interested to see what that one looks like. Batman number 14 and number 15. Written by Tom King, Batman number 14 has art and cover by Stephanie Hans, and Batman number 15 has art and cover by Mitch Gerads. Both of these have a variant cover by Tim Sale. Batman 66 meets Wonder Woman 77 number 1. This is a new series. It's got the regular cover art by Michael Allred, but what I really like about this comic is the 1-for-1 variant on this for the same price by Alex Ross. This Alex Ross cover is absolutely stunning, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. Batman Beyond number 4. In this comic, the deadly secret behind the newly risen Joker is revealed, and it's about to shake up Terry McGinnis' world. There's also a 1-for-1 variant on this for Bernard Chang, so be sure to check that out. Next we have Detective Comics 948 and 949. Don't get me wrong, the story's been really great in this comic, that alone's worth the pickup, but what I really like about these are the Ben Oliver covers. There's also a 1-for-1 variant on each of these by Raphael Albuquerque. Here we have Flash 14 and 15. Now this has been my favorite comic out of the DC Rebirth relaunch. Also there's a 1-for-1 variant for both of these by Dave Johnson. Here we have He-Man Thundercats number 4. Now you can't be a kid who's grown up in the 80s and not want to get this comic. Plus on top of that, in this comic, Lion-O takes on He-Man. Justice League Power Rangers number 1. Now here in this comic we have 2 of the greatest teams teaming up for the very first time. This comic's going to ship with 8 different covers. There's a regular cover, a blank variant, there's a Batman Pink Ranger variant, a Cyborg Blue Ranger variant, a Flash Black Ranger variant, a Green Lantern Yellow Ranger variant, a Superman Green Ranger variant, and a Wonder Woman Red Ranger variant. Justice League Suicide Squads number 3, 4, 5, and 6. Each one of these are going to have a 1-for-1 variant with them. Also, each one of these issues seems to have a different artist for each comic. Lost Boys number 4 of 6. Now this has been one of my guilty pleasure comics because I really enjoyed the movie. This has been a direct sequel to that movie from 1987. And in this comic, stars rejoin the vampires, the Frog Brothers are missing in action, and David's kidnapped Michael to appease the Blood Bells. Looks like it's up to Sam and the mysterious musical muscle man known as the Believer to save the day. Those dirty bloodsuckers better get ready for some sweet tunes. Mother Panic number 3. Now out of all the titles come out of DC's Young Animal imprint, this is the one that I have my eye on. In this issue, Mother Panic's hot on the trail of the murderous artist Gala. Only one person stands in her way, Batwoman. Is there a place for Violet among the heroes of Gotham City, or will her quest for vengeance take her down a darker path? Be aware that there's also a 1-for-1 variant for this comic as well. Superman number 14 and 15. Now just like Flash, this has been one of the better comics to come out of DC's Rebirth. In this one you have the start of Multiplicity story arc. The new Superman of China has been taken, the Red Sun Superman of Earth 30 has been beaten, and who knows what's happened to Sunshine Superman. Someone's collecting Superman across the multiverse, so this looks like a job for R. Kal-El as he is joined by Justice Incarnate in this multi-Earth epic. Superwoman number 6. Now this comic has surprised me. I've actually really enjoyed reading this so far. This is part 6 of the Who Killed Superwoman storyline. Also in this issue you find the secret origin of Lena Luthor. Teen Titans number 4. John Boy Myers has been killing the art on this title. Sad to hear he's leaving. But this is part 4 of Damian Knows Best story arc, and in this issue Robin makes a deal with Ra's al Ghul that will be settled in a trial by combat. If Damian wins, the Teen Titans will be spared. But he must rejoin the League of Assassins for good. And if he loses, everyone dies. Titans number 7. In this comic, Wally West and Man of Steel recognize each other as kindred souls from another world. I like the Lee Weeks regular cover on this because it features one of those iconic race scenes between Superman and Flash that we've come to love over the years. Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Adventures number 3 of 6. In this issue, a fiendish alliance unfolds behind the scenes, unbeknownst to Batman and the Ninja Turtles as they are forced to fight a poison ivy-powered snakeweed. Be aware that there's a subscription variant for this, and there's also a 1 in 10 incentive variant. Cannibal number 4. This has been a great comic so far. This is the end of the first story arc, and what I really like about this comic is they don't have a crap load of covers for it. So if you haven't been reading it, pick it up, you'd enjoy it. Curse Words number 1. This is a new ongoing series from Image and writer Charles Soule. It's a comic about a wizard that has everyone think it's a great wizard when he's really an evil wizard. Also be aware that there's a cover B variant for this by Scotty Young. God Country number 1. This is another new comic from Image this month. It's about Emmett Quinlan, an old widower rattled by dementia, isn't just a problem for his children. His violent outbursts are more than the local cops can handle. When a tornado levels his home as well as the surrounding West Texas town, a restored Quinlan rises from the wreckage. The enchanted sword at the eye of the storm gives him more than a sound mind and body. He's now the only man who can face the otherworldly creatures the sword is drawn to the Lone Star State. Green Valley number 4 of 9. Now read the first issue, absolutely loved it. If you guys like medieval stories about knights and swords, this is definitely one you guys want to pick up. Either way, it's a great story. Pick it up for a read. Loose Ends number 1. Now this is issue number 1 of a 4-issue miniseries. I know you're probably saying, another mini, but wait, it's written by Jason Latour, and he's awesome, especially with these Southern romance crime novels. If you like Southern Bastards, it looks like one you might want to pick up. It's about Southern crime romance. It follows a winding trail down Tobacco Road, through war-torn streets of Baghdad, and into bright lights and bloody gutters of South Florida. That alone right there wants me to pick it up, so I'm going to give this a read. Moonshine number 4. Brian Azzarello has been doing a fantastic job on this comic. It's got prohibition, it's got mobsters, and it's got werewolves. If that's not enough to like, but wait, there's more. There's a variant comic for this issue, and it's done by none other than Lee Bermejo. His art is absolutely fantastic. Can't wait to see what it looks like. It's definitely going to be a pickup. Reborn number 4. This comic's been absolutely fantastic so far. Greg Capullo's killing it on art. Mark Millar's writing's been fantastic. There's also a subscription variant for this by Greg Capullo. There's another variant for it by Alex Garner. There's also a 100-copy incentive sketch variant for this comic by Greg Capullo as well. Saga number 42. Don't really need to say anything about this comic. Everyone's well aware of it. If not, you definitely should be picking it up. This is the end of the story arc for The War for Fang. Southern Bastards number 17. Now this has been one of my favorite reads month in and month out. Granted, there's hit some delays along the way, but it's picked up where it left off. Anyways, there's also a cover B for this by Cliff Chang. And also, don't forget this story is in development right now for a TV show on FX. The Walking Dead number 162. Everyone's well aware of this comic, but this is also the end of the story arc for the Whisper War. I can't imagine Robert Kirkman's just going to let the story arc end without something major going off in this issue. That's just my opinion. Something may or may not happen. Either way, pick it up. It's been an awesome read. Also, be aware of the connecting variant for this by Arthur Adams. Amazing Spider-Man number 23. The story in this comic's been okay. I'm not a big fan of Dan Slott myself, but to each their own. But the reason I keep picking these up is because Alex Ross is killing the covers on this. Be aware also there is an incentive variant for this by Simone Bianchi. Avengers number 3. Now this is one comic that's got a lot of great things going for it. It's got an awesome writer, Mark Waid, fantastic cover artist in Alex Ross. It's got an incentive variant by Tedesco. Now it's hard to pick up variants and spend money on, especially if you haven't seen the cover art for, but if Tedesco's doing it, this is one I'm willing to gamble my money on. Clone Conspiracy number 4 of 5. Gabriel Dell'Otto has been absolutely killing the covers on these. His art's been fantastic. Also be aware there's a Bagley variant, and there's also a Lozano connecting variant for this comic. Deadpool the Duck, issues number 1 and 2 of 5. Now I'm not a big fan of this comic. I'm not really looking forward to it, but I wanted to put it out here so people are aware of it. If you are going to pick up this comic, especially issue number 1, look for the Albuquerque incentive variant on this comic. There's also a connecting variant. There's also a Kamagini variant for issues number 1. Issues number 2 has a connecting variant and another variant as well. Gamora number 2. Now here we have a comic that's written by Nicole Perlman, who also wrote the script for the first Guardians of the Galaxy film. What else I like about this comic is there's a great incentive variant here by Francesco Martina. Hulk number 2. This is issue 2 of the new series written by Mariko Tamaka. It also has art by Nico Leone and cover art by Jeff DeCall. There's also an incentive variant for this, a Torque variant, but I'm not too fond of because to me it looks like Cruella de Vil on steroids. Up the dose and lower the reps there, Cruella. Jessica Jones number 4. This is a great series by writer Brian Michael Bendis. I love the first series and Alias. Plus this character's getting added notoriety from the Netflix series and upcoming second season of her show. And she's going to be appearing in the Netflix series Defenders. What I do like about this is the 1-for-1 variant by DeCall. It's absolutely stunning, so that's the one I'll be picking up. Mighty Captain Marvel number 1. This is a new series by Margaret Stohl. Also, keep in mind that Captain America is going to be appearing in most likely the Avengers, but she's also be getting her own standalone movie from Marvel. But what I really like about this issue is there's 2 great incentive variants. There's one by Phil Noto, who's absolutely stunning, but then there's also one by Alex Ross, and that's the one everyone's going to have their eye on picking up. Monsters Unleashed number 1. This is the new big event comic coming out of Marvel. It's going to ship with 7 different covers. There's a teaser variant, there's a video game variant, there's a monster variant, there's the regular cover, but there's also an incentive Magnola variant that's pretty steep in price, but everyone's aware of who Magnola is, especially if you read Hellboy. But there's also a regular price variant by Francavilla. And when it comes to horror comics and a horror artist, I'm going to go with the Francavilla cover. Mighty Thor number 15. Now Jason Aaron's run on Thor's been nothing short of fantastic. Been picking it up every month. Also be aware that there's a couple different variants for this. There's a Diodato teaser variant, there's a Ryan Sook variant, and there's also a Sorrentino incentive variant. I really love the art on this Sorrentino variant, and that'll be the one that I'd pick up. Punisher number 9. Now this is one of the few comics that's been coming out of Marvel lately that I've enjoyed reading and have been picking up every issue. But what I really like about this comic is the cover art done by Declan Shalvey. This cover pops. I'm adding it to my pre-order list. Spider-Man 2099 number 19. Now Peter David's been writing a great story on this. Like I've said before, I've enjoyed reading this actually than the regular Spider-Man title. Plus Francisco Martina does the covers for all these. Not to mention, outside the first few issues, the print run for a Marvel comic on this is actually pretty low. They average between 20 and 25,000. So for a great story with an absolutely fantastic cover artist, you can't go wrong. Unworthy Thor number 3 of 5. Another great Thor comic written by Jason Aaron. But this is also going to ship with 3 different covers. There's the regular cover. There's a Ryan Sook variant for this as well. But what I'm really looking forward to is there's actually an incentive variant for this by Emanuela Lupacchino. Great artist. Love her work. She does some really great covers, so I'm going to be picking up the Lupacchino variant. Venom number 3. After working as Guardian of the Galaxy and a Space Knight, all the Venom symbiote's good deeds have left it abandoned, starving, and alone. Bonded to a new host, far crueler than Flash Thompson ever was, the symbiote finds itself returning to its old ways. Sandoval does absolutely great with the cover art on these. Can't wait to read this series. Also, be aware that there's an incentive variant for this by Jason Scott Campbell, but the prices are way up there. I've seen prices online for pre-orders going up for $200. So, it's up to you if you want it. You want to spend out that cash, have at it. Animosity The Rise number 1. Now this is a one-shot from Aftershock Comics that spins off from the original series written by Margaret Bennett. It includes the same writer. The original series is blazing hot right now, so this is a one-shot that might be worth picking up. Blood Blister number 1. This is a new comic series from Aftershock Comics. It's about a Brandon Hull who becomes possessed by his evil soul. Also, there's a 1 in 10 of incentive variant for this by Mike Huddleston. Cerebus in Hell number 1. Now we all know the original Cerebus is pretty much out of everyone's price range, but this looks like a great comic to pick up, and it looks like a really fun read. Dollface number 1. This is a new series from a great writer and even greater person in Dan Mendoza. Dollface first appeared in a preview issue coming out of Baltimore Comic Con, and she was also seen in a free comic coming out of Halloween Fest. This issue is going to ship with 7 different covers. There's a cover A Mendoza cover, there's a cover B Mendoza, there's a Howard cover, there's a Harris cover, there's a Fleeks cover, there's a blank sketch variant, and there's also a Mendoza sketch variant. Hillbilly number 8. This is a fantastic story that keeps getting better with each issue. I recommend everyone to pick it up. It's from Albatross Funny Books, where it's written and drawn by Eric Powell. Reassignment number 1. Now this comic is about a hitman who's supposed to take out a fashion designer because he's fallen behind on his debts. But there's a sister of the fashion designer who's also a sociopathic surgeon who starts doing operations on the hitman against his will. This comic's going to ship with 5 different covers. There's the regular cover, there's a Pascal Quilano cover, there's a Faye Dalton cover, a Steve Scott cover, and there's also a Francisco Peronzini cover. Red Dog number 2. Now, like I said previously, this comes from 451 Media Group, which is owned by Michael Bay. It's also written by Rob Cohen, who's another big Hollywood director/writer. So either way, this story looks to be good, but this just has movie or TV show written all over it, so I'm going to continue to pick this up. Rift number 1. Now this comes from Red 5 Comics, and it's presented by Mr. Hawkeye himself, Academy Award nominee Jeremy Renner. The Rift tells the story of a single mother and her son whose lives change forever after witnessing a World War II fighter pilot from 1941 crash land in present-day Kansas. They find themselves drawn into the work of Section 47, a secret government organization responsible for responding to rifts that open in space and time. Rock and Roll Biography's Pantera. Now this is the rock and roll biography featuring the band Pantera, where you can see the rise and dramatic fall of the true cowboys from hell. Read how they strove to define the sound that changed metal forever. Cover art is by Bill Brent, who also painted merchandising for Pantera. Starring Sonia Devereaux number 2. Now this comes from American Mythology Productions. There's 3 different covers for this comic. There's a regular cover, there's a blank variant, but the reason why I even have this on this video is there's a great horror homage cover to Tomb of Dracula number 1, and that's the one that I'm going to be picking up. Stuff of Legend Call to Arms number 1. Now this is the 5th volume of this comic series. It's a fantastic read, it's really enjoyable, but if that's not enough to get you to buy this comic, remember, Disney has the film rights to this comic and they want to make it a live action movie. So there you have it, guys. Those are my picks out of this month's previews magazines that are going to be releasing in January. I hope you've enjoyed the comics I've shared with you, and I hope you also take full advantage of these discounts by pre-ordering these titles ahead of time. If you feel there are titles I've missed, please comment on the video. Also, if you enjoyed this video, I invite you to click that thumbs up button so we know you like it. And as always, if you want to see more of these videos, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'd like to give a big shout out to Comic Book Speculation and Investing. You can check out their site at www.comicbookinvest.com or search for them at Google Plus by searching CBSI. Great comic community. Love to hear from you. Till next month, guys. This has been Brian from Simple Man's Comics.